Losing direction, not clearly knowing what you are living for, is also a form of suffering that many people go through every day in silence. The Buddha once said that life is a sea of suffering, but he did not stop there. He was not pessimistic. He pointed out that truth only to then point out the way to overcome it. Among the paths to overcome suffering that the Buddha taught, there is an important but rarely mentioned thing: living with a purpose. Why does living with a purpose help humans overcome suffering? Because when you know what you are living for, then every day you wake up, no matter how difficult, you still have a reason to keep stepping forward. But when you don't know why you must live, then even if life is stable, you still feel tired, confused, and lost. It's like a person rowing a boat. If they know where the other shore is, then even with rain, wind, and big waves, they can still steer the oar. But if they don't know where they are rowing to, then the wider the sea, the more precarious the heart feels. Living without a purpose, you are easily swept into the goals of others. They tell you to study this major because it's easy to get a job. You study it. They tell you that you must get a husband or wife at that age. You rush. They tell you that success means having a house, a car, and status. You strain yourself to follow. And then at some point you might look back at everything and ask yourself, why do I have everything but my heart still doesn't feel like it's enough? Because all those things are not your goals, but are copies of the desires of others, of society. You live according to a map drawn by others. So it is not strange that you get lost in your own life. Each person is the master of their own karma, meaning you are the only person responsible for your own life, not your parents, not your teachers, not society. What you choose, what you think, what you do will decide where you go. And that can only be clear if you know what you are living for. Some people live to help others. Some live to protect their family. Some people live to learn to practice spiritually, to understand themselves deeper. Some people live to spread love. Some people live to repay karma and sow blessings. There is no single correct goal for everyone, but certainly living without a purpose is wrong to yourself. A goal doesn't need to be grandiose, doesn't need to be changing the world, becoming a millionaire, or being brilliantly famous. It just needs to be something that makes you feel your life is worth living. A reason strong enough for you to get up early, warm enough for you to keep stepping when discouraged, and steady enough for you not to collapse when things don't go as wished. Living with a purpose is not to become better than anyone else, but so that every day lived, even if tired, does not feel wasted, so that every decision, even if difficult, feels worth it, so that when old age comes and you look back, despite life having many upheavals, you still see that you lived true to yourself. And to find that goal, sometimes you don't need to look far. It might already lie right within you, hidden behind the things you used to like, used to dream of, used to be moved by when hearing a story, used to feel happy when helping someone. It lies somewhere in your heart. Your job is to sit down, quiet down, and listen to your heart. Listen to what makes you feel that life is worth living. The Buddha once said there is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path, and you can only truly walk on that path when you choose a direction that is true to your heart, and that only comes when you live with a purpose. The upcoming Intent series will accompany you step by step to go deep into this, from recognizing the emptiness in modern life to how to find your true purpose and how to live persistently with it even when life has many fluctuations. Each part will not shout at you to be successful, will not teach you to get rich quick, will not force you to compare yourself with anyone, but will only gently lead you back to the inside to see that living with a purpose is living with light. And when there is light in the mind, then even if life still has much suffering, you will not be lost. Even if there is much noise out there, you still keep your mindfulness. Even if others run after all sorts of things, you still feel peaceful because you know where you are going. An empty mind is when a human lives but doesn't feel like they are living. Have you ever felt like this? Everything in life is fine, lacking nothing serious. You have a job and income, relatives, can go out to eat and drink, go out, shop, can talk and laugh with friends. But when returning home alone, turning off all the lights, lying down on the bed, you feel a strange sense of emptiness. Not sad, not happy, not in pain, not pleasurable, just a white space in the mind, a type of feeling that cannot be named. But it makes you sigh for no specific reason. It makes you feel tired, but you don't know why you are tired. It makes you want to find something, but you don't know what to find. Some people say, I live like a machine. Every day is the same. Go to work, come home, eat, surf the phone, go to sleep. Occasionally go on a trip, then come back and feel empty again. Some people ask, am I suffering from depression? But no, that is not a sickness. That is the mind being hungry. Being hungry not because of a lack of food or clothing, but hungry because there is no meaning. An empty mind is when you live without feeling that you are living. It is when each day passes without leaving any truly deep emotion. It is when you don't see where you are going, nor are you clear why you must keep going. Actually, there are many people living like that, not few. They live in a form of sufficiency, but are hollow inside. They talk and laugh with everyone, but when alone they cannot speak to themselves. They eat, drink, work to earn money, but everything just happens according to procedure, without true presence. That is because the mind is losing connection with oneself. The Buddha once said there is nothing as suffering as living without mindfulness. This sentence sounds light at first, but is very deep, because mindfulness is not about sitting in meditation all day, nor living like a monk, but living while knowing you are living, eating while knowing you are eating, working on knowing you are working, and living on knowing what you are living for. When the mind is empty, you will easily be swept along by the outside. You see people having a house, you want a house. People go traveling, you also want to go. People get married, have children, you feel you should also be like that. But strangely, when you achieve it, your heart is still empty, because that is not what you truly need, but what you think you need. Many people fall into that trap, trying to achieve a life like the common denominator of society, then discovering that is not the life they want. And at that moment, the mind starts to speak up. It is not noisy, it only sighs in silence. But that silence is exactly the warning bell. There are people who make money very well, but always feel tired. There are people who have families, but feel lost among their closest relatives. There are people who are successful in the eyes of society, but never feel it is enough. That is because each person has a different spiritual need. Some are happy when creating. Some find life meaningful when helping people. Some need peace without noise. Some feel they are living when learning, when experiencing, and when living far from what your mind truly needs. you will gradually lose connection with yourself, even if you don't realize it immediately. An empty mind does not happen naturally. It is the result of living too long not true to one's nature. It is when you choose what others expect instead of choosing what you want. It is when you have to live in a certain way that your heart does not truly vibrate with. So what to do? First, don't rush to panic when you see your mind is empty, because that is not a bad sign. On the contrary, it is a good signal. Good because you have started to realize something is wrong. Good because you have started to look back at yourself. Good because you are no longer living in the delusion of thinking you are fine. The Dharma never teaches you to pretend to be happy, but helps you look truly at your emotions to understand and, from there, transform them. The mind is empty. Ask what used to make you feel life had meaning. It could be a volunteer trip you once participated in, an afternoon you sat writing a diary, a time you helped someone without needing a return, a time you smiled sincerely when hearing a touching story. Remember those moments, because they are the clues to help you find the connection with your heart again. After that, start practicing living slower. Spend time every day just to be alone, no phone, no noise. Sit down, breathe deeply, and ask yourself what you truly need. The answer won't come immediately, but if you listen long enough, sincerely enough, you will hear the voice from deep within you. And when you find that thing again, even if it's a small thing like the joy of planting a tree, drawing a picture, learning something new, you will feel your mind warm up again. No need for anything grandiose. Just a small ray of light is enough to dispel the cold of emptiness. When the mind has a fulcrum, you will feel you are living, truly living, and that is the first step for you to start living with a purpose, with direction, with inner strength. Suffering does not come from circumstances, but from the fog in the mind. There is a thing we still often believe, that if life were less difficult, if I had more money, if the family were more harmonious, if work were smoother, if I didn't meet this person or that person, then I would suffer less. Hearing it, it seems reasonable because it is true that external circumstances affect our emotions. A good environment makes it easy for us to be comfortable. An incident makes it easy for us to be sad, but if we pay close attention, we will see a very clear paradox. In the same circumstance, some suffer, some don't. Some are poor but happy and peaceful. Some are rich, but insecure and worrying ceaselessly. Some are sick but still optimistic, still smiling, still sharing positive energy with others. Meanwhile, there are healthy people who complain every day, are upset and grumpy. This shows us that suffering does not lie in the circumstances, but lies in how our mind perceives and reacts to those circumstances. The Buddha taught that the mind leads all phenomena, meaning everything in life, joy, sadness, peace, or suffering starts from our own mind, not from others, not from fate, not from the environment, but from the very way we feel, think, and react. There is a small but very profound story. One day a person came to meet the Buddha and complained, "Sir, this life has too much suffering. I suffer from being poor, suffer from being misunderstood, suffer because the family is not as desired, suffer because people don't love me as I expect. What do I do to stop suffering?" The Buddha looked at him and gently replied, "I cannot make life less suffering for you, but I can show you the way to not suffer because of life." The other person was surprised. Not suffer because of life? What does that mean? I am not suffering because life is like that. I suffer because I want life to be different. The other person fell silent, and it seemed that sentence changed the way he lived. We often attribute our pain to circumstances. I suffer because of poverty. I suffer because my lover betrayed me. I suffer because my family doesn't understand me. I suffer because I didn't achieve what I wanted. But if looking deeper, we will see what hurts us is not the event itself, but because our mind does not accept it, does not have the ability to face it wisely. It's the same job loss. Person accepts it, viewing it as an opportunity to look back at themselves and find a new direction. Person B resents, torments, despairs, feeling useless. So the job loss is the same, but the mind sees it differently, leading to different suffering and happiness, or the same heartbreak. This person cries in pain, but then lets go, understanding that the connection has ended. That person imprisons themselves in resentment, blame, unable to let go. The result is one person overcomes it, while one person sinks deeper into suffering. We cannot control everything outside, cannot choose the parents we are born to, cannot stop others from betraying, cannot force life to always be smooth according to our will. But what we can always do is choose our own way of living, way of thinking, and way of looking. That is true freedom, freedom in the mind, and also the first step to overcoming suffering. The Buddha did not teach us to evade suffering, but taught us to recognize it, understand the true cause, and learn how to transform it. He taught that the root of suffering is ignorance, meaning not seeing clearly, not understanding clearly the nature of things. Precisely because we don't see clearly, we cling, we try to hold on, we try to expect life to follow our will. And when it's not as we wish, we hurt, like a sick person who doesn't know they are sick, keeps taking the wrong medicine, treating it the wrong way, so the more they treat it, the sicker they get. A person with a suffering mind who doesn't know their mind is foggy will only get more tangled the more they struggle. Therefore, to truly stop suffering, we don't need to change the whole world, but only need to change ourselves, specifically changing our perception. Instead of keeping asking why this happened to me, ask what I can learn from this. Instead of resenting life for being too unfair, practice accepting that life is inherently unfair, but I can still live kindly. Instead of thinking that person hurt me, ask yourself, why am I so easily hurt? What did I expect from them? When you shift the direction of the question, you no longer look at life as an enemy making you suffer, but as a teacher giving you necessary lessons. And if you are willing to return to yourself, willing to sit down, willing to listen to the sufferings inside without rushing to blame, you will see there are sufferings that have been inside you for a very long time, not because of anyone, but because you yourself have never looked at it with the light of understanding. It could be a wound from childhood, a complex, a self-doubt, a fear of abandonment, an unfulfilled expectation. Those things accumulate and are not healed. So even if external circumstances change, your mind still feels suffering. The Buddha once said sentient beings drift in samsara because of ignorance. And the greatest ignorance is not knowing everything, but not knowing oneself. So when you start to understand that suffering comes from your mind not being clear, you will stop resenting, stop waiting for change, and start changing yourself. You will know how to return to mindfulness, learn how to observe the mind, know when you are angry, when you are greedy, when you are delusional, and instead of being dragged away by emotions, you choose to stay with yourself in wakefulness, and at that time suffering may still come, but it no longer hurts you as deeply as before. In short, circumstances do not decide your happiness. Your mind decides that. A bright mind that knows how to accept, knows how to transform, will see light right in the darkness. A foggy mind, full of delusions, will see darkness even while standing in the middle of the day. Suffering does not come from anywhere. It comes from our own fogginess about the nature of life and the nature of ourselves. And when we are willing to stop, turn inward, learn to look at everything with brighter eyes, suffering will gradually dissolve and peace will gradually reveal itself. Each person born carries a special seed, but no one is like another, because when we don't know what we were born to do, we will easily live according to others. We run after their success, their standards, their dreams, and then at some point, despite achieving quite a few things, we still feel empty, disappointed, or lost. The Buddha did not teach us to become someone else. He did not force anyone to live according to a common mold. The Buddha emphasized that each person is a unique individual carrying their own karma, their own causes and conditions, and their own path. Just like a forest, no tree is completely like another, but every tree has its own role in the forest. Some trees give flowers, some give fruit, some provide shade, some shelter smaller trees. No tree is useless. Only a tree uprooted from Mother Earth, no longer cared for, will wither. Humans are the same. Each person born carries a special seed. That seed could be empathy, could be the ability to write, could be perseverance, could be skillful hands, or simply a heart that knows how to listen. No need to be a genius, no need to be an outstanding talent. You just need to live true to that seed, nourish it every day, and you will see your life gradually become more meaningful. The problem is we grow up in a world where everyone is taught that being like others is correct. From a young age, you are compared to other people's children. Growing up, you are advised to study whatever profession is hot, whatever industry has money. You are confined to society's measures, grades, degrees, income, position, and gradually you forget who you are, what you want, what you love. You are taken along someone else's path, and at some point you turn back and ask why I feel I don't belong here. That is not because you are inferior. That is because you are living far from your true seed. Like a lotus seed forced to grow on a rocky mountain, no matter how hard it tries, it cannot bloom as beautifully as when placed in the mud, which is inherently its natural environment. The lotus seed is not wrong. The rocky mountain is also not wrong. The mistake is that we didn't put it in the right place, didn't look at the true nature correctly. Many people live their whole lives without realizing what the special seed inside them is, not because they don't have it, but because they never have the chance or don't dare to stop to look deep into themselves. They keep running, keep trying, keep straining themselves to become a version accepted in the eyes of others. Until they're tired, they return to look back and realize, I wish I had lived true to myself sooner. The lucky thing is that the seed in each person never gets lost. It only sleeps temporarily. Even if you are 30, 40, or even 60 years old, you can still start again, can still return to your original seed. And when you live true to that, you will feel your life become lighter. No longer having to strain, no longer having to wear a mask. You won't need to compete with anyone. won't need to win or lose to be recognized, because you clearly know I am living true to myself, and peace coming from inside like that is a type of peace no one can take away. The question posed is how to know what one's special seed is. You don't need to go to the mountains to become a monk or do something grandiose. Just start with a simple thing. Observe yourself. Observe the things you do without feeling tired, the things that make you feel your heart light up, the times you forget time because you are too engrossed, the things you do that others often praise. Why do you do that so naturally? Those are the signals showing you where your seed is. Some people have the ability to heal others with words. Some people are always perseverant and work meticulously in a respectable way. Some people have a heart of unconditional love. Some people have the ability to connect everyone together. Each person has a style. No one is like another. And precisely that difference makes the beauty of life. You don't need to try to become as good as someone else. You just need to become the most complete version of yourself. And to do that, you need to realize what the seed inside you is, then live with it. Care for it so it blooms in your own way. This is also the foundation for you to determine your true life purpose, because a purpose is not something someone sets for you, but is something originating from inside you, from the seed you carried when born. When you live true to that, you don't need to try to feel meaningful. You will naturally feel that from inside. A person living true to their seed will have a very unique energy. They are not noisy, not competitive, but when interacting with them, you will feel very comfortable. They live slowly, but steadily. They don't need to prove anything, but others still trust them. They don't go fast, but they don't stop. They live right, so their heart is at peace. When you live like that, you are no longer hurt by comparison. You no longer feel inferior when seeing others are better than you. You no longer feel the pressure to succeed according to social standards, because you already have your own standard, which is living true to yourself. And the most important thing, when you live true to your seed, you will naturally become light for others. No need to speak much, no need to preach. Just living truthfully is enough to inspire those who are lost. Everyone has Buddha nature, meaning within everyone there is the potential for enlightenment. The potential to live rightly, live beautifully, live peacefully. But to unlock that potential, you need to stop, turn inward, and live honestly with yourself. Each person born carries a seed, and that seed, if recognized and cared for properly, will become the most beautiful flower, beautifying not only your life, but also those around you. And from there you will start the journey of living with a purpose that is not borrowed, not imposed, but originates from your very heart. Why must we live with a purpose in life? Every human has two common ways of living. One is living with the flow, meaning day by day doing what needs to be done, doing whatever is assigned. Not objecting, but also not truly choosing. Two is living with direction, meaning living knowing where you are going, why you are going, and even if the wind changes direction, you still keep your bearing. Why must we live with a purpose? Is it necessary when there are still many people living without a clear plan, pursuing nothing specific, yet they still live true? It is like that. Many people live without a purpose. But if you look deep, you will see that the majority of them are only existing, not truly living. The difference between living and existing does not lie in the heartbeat. It lies in the level of wakefulness. Existing is when you only do the necessary things to prolong life, but truly living is when your everyday has meaning, has motivation, and you feel yourself moving closer to what you desire. People living without a purpose easily fall into a feeling of being lost because they don't know where they are going, don't know what is most important to them, and because of that, they are easily swayed, easily tired, easily give up when meeting difficulties, easily fall into comparison, jealousy, and confusion. Meanwhile, people with a purpose are different. They might not be better than you, not faster than you, not smarter than you, but because they know where they are going, every step they take is steady, and most importantly, they rarely lose direction, even if life has many upheavals. Try imagining two people walking on a long road. The first person doesn't know where he is going, just knows to keep walking. So when meeting a high slope, he gets discouraged and turns back. When it rains, he stops, depressed. When seeing others walking faster, he compares and gets jealous. But the second person knows clearly he is going to that mountain. So even if the road is hard, he still walks. Whether others are fast or slow, he still keeps his pace because he clearly knows the destination. Life is like that too. If you don't define a life purpose, you will very easily be swept into the goals of others. You will live to please your parents, live according to the expectations of friends, live out of fear of being ridiculed, live to meet social standards without ever asking, is this what I truly want? And that is the path leading to suffering, because you are losing yourself bit by bit. Be an island unto yourself. Be your own refuge. Not relying on any other place means the path you walk, the life you live must be chosen by you, understood clearly by you, and you must be responsible for it. To do that, you need a purpose. Without a purpose, you will easily lose direction when facing incidents, easily be distracted by unimportant things, easily feel life is meaningless, boring, easily repeat mistakes because you don't learn lessons from the past, easily depend on recognition from others to feel you have value. When you live with a purpose, you will know clearly what is important, what is not. Know to let go at the right time, to focus on what is worthy. Have the motivation to overcome fatigue, failure, challenges. Feel life has more meaning every day. Proud of yourself, even when you haven't achieved clear results. A goal doesn't need to be huge, just needs to be true enough. Just needs to make you feel this is what you truly want to live for. Some people live to raise their children kindly. Some live to help those in difficulty. Some live to create something that brings value. Some live to practice spiritually, to understand themselves deeper, to let go of anger and illusion. There is no single correct goal for everyone, but certainly living without a purpose is living in delusion, and delusion is the root of suffering. An interesting thing is that when you live with a purpose, you will no longer care too much about what others are doing, how they are living, because you are too busy cultivating your own path. You will feel your heart is more peaceful, no longer panicking because you are slower than someone, no longer jealous because that person is more successful, no longer comparing because you know everyone has their own journey. Furthermore, a purpose is also an internal compass. When you face a difficult choice, it will be easier to decide if you clearly know what your goal is. It helps you not be swayed by others' opinions. It keeps you from being swept away by temptations or fears. A person without a purpose is like a boat without a sail in the ocean. Looking at it, it is still drifting, but never arriving anywhere. Meanwhile, a person with a purpose, even if only a small boat, because they have direction and motivation, every day they move closer to their own shore. The Buddha, when he was still a prince living in a golden palace, did not feel complete. He went through suffering, old age, sickness, death, and saw clearly that living just to enjoy could not be the final goal of human life. He left the royal palace not to run away, but to find the truth, to find the path to help himself and others escape suffering. And he found it. The rest of his life was living fully with that goal: compassion, wisdom, saving others from suffering. No one forces you to become a Buddha, but any of us can learn how to live wakefully and choose for ourselves a reason to live worthily of this short human life. Finally, ask yourself, if today were the last day I get to live, am I living true to what I believe is important? If the answer is no, then surely that is the moment you need to sit back, look into your heart, and find a goal big enough to wake up for every morning and durable enough to hold you back every time you want to give up. When you live with a purpose, you are not only living for the present, but you are sowing seeds for a meaningful future for both yourself and those around you. What is a goal and how is it different from ambition? Living with a purpose is very important. We understood that through the previous parts, but there is a question that many people still always wonder about. Is living with a purpose the same as living with ambition? If one always aims for something, will one get swept into the bottomless cycle of greed that the Buddha once warned about? This question is not small because if not understood clearly, people can inadvertently turn living with a purpose into a form of endless craving, and the more they run after it, the more insecure they feel. That is when the goal is corrupted, confused with ambition, and instead of bringing peace, it leads to anxiety, pressure, jealousy, and fatigue. So what is a goal? What is ambition? How are they different? A goal is a clear direction you choose based on understanding, wakefulness, and alignment with your life values. A goal comes from inside, from what you truly cherish. It is not imposed by others, not borrowed from social standards. It makes you feel life is more meaningful when you move closer to it, and even if you haven't achieved it immediately, you still feel your heart is bright, steady, and light. Ambition often originates from the ego, from the need to prove to be better than others, to satisfy a certain image in the head. Ambition is often a compulsion. Not I want to live for this, but I must have that, otherwise I am a failure. It makes you live in stress, in the pressure of comparison, in the fear of falling behind. A healthy goal pushes you to develop, but still leaves space for gratitude, acceptance, and leisure. Ambition pushes you to rush forward ceaselessly, making you unable to stop, unable to be at peace even for a second. It can be visualized like this. A goal is the mountain you choose to climb because you love nature, love the journey. You enjoy every step of the climb, even if tired, while ambition is climbing because you must stand on the peak so others respect you, must be higher than others. Even reaching the peak, you won't stop because looking around you see a higher peak, and then you no longer know what you are living for. The Buddha taught that suffering arises from craving, from insatiable desire, having no stopping point. But he did not teach us to give up all dreams, to do nothing. What he wanted to emphasize is to distinguish clearly between mindful aspiration and blind craving. A person wants to learn meditation to understand themselves clearly, to live slower. That is a goal. But if wanting to learn meditation to prove oneself better than others, to show off, that is ambition. A person wants to succeed and work to be able to care well for the family, to create value, that is a goal. But if succeeding just to be called good, to feel superior to the world, that is ambition. The difference lies in the root. A goal starts from love, from deep life values inside you. Ambition starts from the ego, from insecurity, from the desire to be recognized. A goal makes you progress, but still dwell in the present. Ambition makes you run forever towards the front and lose yourself. Some people live with a purpose, but are not in a hurry. They still enjoy the morning coffee, still have time to walk, read books, take care of themselves, because for them the goal is not a race but a meaningful journey. As for people living for ambition, they always look like they are being chased. They eat in a hurry, sleep late, do much but don't feel happy. They fear being left behind, fear being inferior, fear losing. So how to know if one's goal is deviating into ambition or not? Observe the emotion when you think of that goal. If you see your heart light up, light, motivated yet still peaceful, that is a correct goal. If you feel anxious, forced, fearful, always feeling not enough, then very likely you are being led by ambition. Look at how you treat yourself on the journey. If you still know how to love yourself, know how to rest, know how to be proud of small steps forward, know how to smile even if not yet at the destination, that is, you're going right. But if you always torment yourself, always feel you are wrong, you are bad, always force yourself to try harder without knowing how to stop, then that is a sign you are getting lost. The Buddha does not deny action, effort to develop. He only reminds us to act in mindfulness, make effort in understanding, and develop based on the foundation of compassion. When your goal is placed on those things, it will never become a noose tightening around you. On the contrary, it will become a lighthouse shining for you in foggy times, lifting you up in weak moments, and leading you forward with determination, but without misery. Finally, living with a purpose is not to be better than others, but so as not to lose oneself. Living with a purpose is not to possess a lot, but to give more, understand oneself clearer, and every day feel one's heart more serene. Living with a purpose is not to become someone else, but to return to being oneself, but a version that is clear, strong, and full of love. A goal, according to the Buddha's words, is not to be better than others, but to understand oneself. In society today, people often set goals with a very secular spirit. Goals often go together with external achievements, promotion, salary increase, buying a house, buying a car, achieving fame, having an image of success in the eyes of others. There is nothing wrong with those things, but if the life goal only revolves around having more, then sooner or later humans will also feel disappointed, because the nature of material life is having no stopping point. The Buddha, who once lived in a golden palace, once had everything that worldly people dream of, is the clearest proof of this truth. He was a prince, the one about to succeed the throne, had power, money, status, beautiful wife, obedient child, but he still felt empty, still felt suffering, From observing life, he realized that no matter how many things one has, humans still cannot escape the four things: birth, old age, sickness, death, and so he gave up everything, not to evade life, but to find the true path to overcome suffering. He didn't go looking for more of anything, but went looking for a way to understand himself, understand the nature of life, and only when understanding that can humans escape suffering. Therefore, according to the spirit, the Buddha taught the true life goal is not to be better than others, but to understand oneself, not to achieve something outside, but to return to the inside, reflecting on one's mind, understanding clearly the nature of suffering, joy, anger, delusion, desire, greed, and liberating each layer one by one. A person with a correct goal is someone who is more awake day by day, lighter in heart, more tolerant, not someone increasingly busy, stressed, anxious because of fearing they are not good enough, not fast enough. A goal according to the Dharma is a journey gradually letting go, not piling up more. Letting go does not mean abandoning everything to hide in a temple. They can still live in the midst of life, work to support the family, but their mind no longer runs after fame and gain or gossip. Every task they do has mindfulness. Every relationship they keep has compassion. They live simply, kindly, knowing what is enough, and that is the sign of a life goal heading in the right direction. A profound difference between a worldly goal and a goal according to the Buddha's words is that a worldly goal places weight on the result, while a goal according to the Buddha directs towards the process. The world teaches that when I achieve that, I will be happy, but the Buddha teaches right on the path. If the mind is at peace, that is already joy, meaning we don't wait until success to be happy, but step by step on the journey. If there is mindfulness and understanding, then every day brings happiness, and precisely that liberates humans from pressure. You are no longer bound to the task of having to succeed very quickly, no longer comparing yourself to others, no longer feeling you fail if the goal is not yet achieved, because you know you are living right, practicing right, understanding yourself clearer every day. That is the greatest achievement. There is a story that someone asked a Zen master, "Master, what is the goal of meditation?" The Zen master smiled gently. "It is so that each day I am less angry than yesterday, less attached than the day before, less pained by small things than previously. That is meditation. That is the goal." That answer made the other person astonished, because he thought meditation must be achieving some state, special and mystical. But it turns out the goal of spiritual practice is that simple. Just need to live each day a bit more wakefully, love oneself and others a bit more. That is enough. In modern life, if not alert, it is very easy for us to turn a life goal into a form of disguised ambition. Many people say they want to help people, want to live kindly, want to contribute, but inside is the expectation to be recognized, praised, remembered by name. When not achieving that, they are disappointed and give up, even turn to blame life, blame people. This points out that when a goal is not placed in the right spot, it easily generates suffering. But when a goal originates from inner understanding, from compassion, then no matter the result, you still feel peace. The Buddha taught that there is no path to happiness. Happiness is the path, meaning the life goal is not the destination, but how you live each day to get there. And when your life goal is to understand yourself, to correct yourself, to live kindly, then every day lived is already a meaningful day. No need to wait until the day it is achieved. A life goal, according to the Buddha's words, does not come from greed, but from wakefulness, does not create pressure, but brings gentle motivation, does not make us feel inferior, but makes us understand ourselves clearly, does not cling to the result, but enjoys the process with mindfulness, does not make us compare, but helps us love others and ourselves deeper. If you are finding a life goal for yourself, remember that goals should make you more peaceful, not more anxious, should make you live more kindly, not more forced, should make you live truer to yourself, not live according to anyone's expectations. And once you live true to such a goal, you not only help yourself be happier, but naturally, you will also become a gentle light for those around you. How to find one's own life goal. There is one of the most important questions that each person should spend time facing. What do I live for? Hearing it seems philosophical, but actually it is the root question for all behaviors, thoughts, and decisions in our life. A person with a clear answer will live differently from a person who never asks themselves that. However, not everyone knows how to answer. Some people say my life goal is to make money. Others say I live to care for my children. Yet others say I live because there is no other choice. Those answers might be correct in each stage, but if digging deeper, many people realize that it's not a goal chosen by themselves, but a goal imposed by circumstances. The question is how to find the true life goal of oneself. A goal not borrowed from anyone, not to please anyone, but something that when thought of, one feels one's heart light up. The answer does not lie in books, but lies in the very experience and the listening to your inner self. Below are practical suggestions for you to start the journey of finding your life goals slowly but steadily. Stop. Don't rush to search. The first thing sounds contradictory. Don't rush to search. A life goal is not a dropped item that you can rummage in your pocket to find. It doesn't lie ready in your head, but lies in the process of you living slower, looking back, and asking your heart. If you keep rushing, you easily pick up something random that sounds good and force yourself to follow. Thus, that goal does not originate from awakening, but from the fear of getting lost. And anything starting from fear rarely brings peace. Observe the past to find moments your heart once lit up. Don't think a life goal is something huge, macro, affecting the whole world. Actually, a genuine life goal usually starts from very small things. Things that make you feel life is more worth living. Moments you feel you are truly living. Ask yourself, is there any time you did something and found time passed quickly, not tired, didn't want to stop? Was there any time you helped someone and afterward your heart was full of warmth and lightness? Is there anything you once did, even small, that later, when thinking back, you still see it as a memorable moment? Has anyone ever said that you do something very naturally as if born to do that work? Record those things. Don't evaluate them as big or small, because those small things will be clues to help you find your true seed of life. Ask yourself what would truly hurt if you didn't get to live with it. Sounds reversed. But pain can also point the way. If a person lives without being creative, they find life tasteless. If a person lives without being connected to nature, they feel confined. If a person lives without helping people, they feel insecure. Those feelings of lack, loss, confinement, tastelessness are the call of the life goal waiting for you to recognize. Don't confuse a life goal with a job or a social role. Some people work as doctors. The life goal is curing diseases and saving people. But there are also people working as doctors whose goal is just to make money. So the work you do doesn't say all about your life goal. Don't be confused. A life goal is not I am an accountant, I am a bank employee, I am a teacher. But I live to spread kindness. I live to understand myself clearly and help others understand themselves. I live to nurture peace in the family. Those things can be realized through many different jobs as long as you keep that spirit. Avoid falling into the trap of goals for show. Nowadays, when social media develops, many people are pressured to have a goal that sounds cool. Like I live to change the world, I want to become an inspiring speaker. But if those things don't truly ring out within you, you will soon feel tired. You don't need a goal to show off. You just need a goal true enough to live kindly every day and feel life has meaning even if no one knows. Don't be afraid to change. A life goal can evolve over time. Each person lives through each stage with different lessons. The life goal when you are 20 might be different from when you are 40. That is normal. The important thing is you alertly realize when an old goal is no longer suitable and bravely adjust the direction. As long as you don't lose yourself, ask the heart. Don't ask the ego. The ego will suggest you choose a goal to be praised, to be prominent. But the heart only needs you to live right. The ego will tell you that you must have achievements. The heart only needs you to sleep well every night without remorse. When you live by the heart, you will choose the right direction, listen to the Dharma, practice meditation, keep mindfulness to connect deep with the inner self. You cannot find a true life goal if not connecting with yourself. Every day spend time in silence. No phone, no noise, just sit breathing in, turning inward. You don't need to force yourself to think of anything, just need to let the heart settle down. In that stillness, the true voice of your mind will gradually appear. The more you listen to the Dharma, the more you understand clearly what is true value, what is just delusion. The more you meditate, the clearer you are about what you are living for and whether you need what you are pursuing anymore. Finally, remember a correct life goal doesn't make you pressured, but makes you alert and lighthearted. It is not a must but a want. It doesn't make you strain, but makes you natural. It doesn't pull you far from yourself, but helps you return closer to the truest part in the mind. Life has inherently never been flat. Sometimes we are walking on a straight road, thinking everything is clear and easy, but then just a light wind, a sudden incident, or a spoken word makes our heart wobble, and we get confused, doubting the very path we are walking. Having a life goal is already a precious journey, but keeping that goal firm throughout the journey of life, where it is full of disturbances, challenges, temptations, and pressures, is the thing worth discussing, and that is the content that today we will contemplate together. Amidst the bustling life stream, people run after money, people jostle for status. Some live just to please the world, yet others live without knowing what they are living for. Amidst such chaotic sounds, keeping the silence in the soul to always remember one's goal is a very difficult thing, but not impossible. First, we need to understand that a life goal is not simply a destination, but also a compass for orientation, a light illuminating the way. Some choose to live to succeed in their career. Some seek peace in the soul. Some want to live to serve, to help people to see their life as meaning. Any goal is worthy of respect, as long as it comes from a true inner self and does not cause hurt to others. But what about keeping that goal? Human life is like a small boat drifting in the vast ocean. There are days the sea is calm. There are days waves roll over the head. There are times the wind blows in the right direction. The boat goes favorably, but also times the wind is adverse, storms are waiting, and in those moments, the goal is the lighthouse leading the way. But to see the light from the lighthouse, we must keep the eye of our mind not obscured by the dust of life, must hold the steering wheel, and trust the path we chose. There is an important thing that many people often forget. A life goal does not necessarily have to be grand or magnificent. It can simply be living a normal but meaningful life, becoming a filial child, a responsible father or mother, living kindly to oneself and those around you. Each person has a separate journey, shouldn't take someone else's goal as a measure for oneself. However, life is not like a dream. There are times you will be laughed at by your own relatives because of what you are pursuing. There are times you will be compared by friends, labeled by society, made to doubt yourself by the very struggle for food and clothing. Maybe you will ask yourself, am I going wrong? Should I give up to choose an easier path? And then you get confused. You want to let go, you want to live like the majority, to breathe easier. But exactly at that moment, you need to sit back with yourself, spend time to be silent, to hear again the voice from your heart. Don't let the noise outside drown out the inner self inside. Sometimes just need a quiet afternoon, a segment of walking alone, a cup of tea, or a time sitting in gentle meditation. You will find again the reason why you started. As the ancients have a saying, when tired, remember the reason you started. Another important thing is you must learn to set goals flexibly, amidst a life always changing. If we are rigid, we ourselves will be the ones making ourselves suffer. A life goal can keep its essence, but the way to reach that goal can change. For example, a person wants to live to serve others. Initially, they might desire to become a doctor, but if not having enough conditions, they can still choose to be a teacher, a volunteer, or simply live a kind life, helping whoever they can within their ability. Don't let a dead-end road make you forget the larger path. And also don't forget that keeping a life goal is not a sprint, but a lifelong journey. You don't need to run very fast, just walk steadily, persistently, one step every day. There are days you find yourself walking very slowly, even not walking any step, but that doesn't mean you have failed. Sometimes just standing still and breathing is already a great effort. People often say a hero is not someone who never falls, but someone who can stand up after every fall. So you too, allow yourself to stumble, to be tired, to be weak-hearted, but after that, wipe your tears and continue walking. Because you live not to please anyone, but to live fully with your own goal. Another essential thing is to learn to keep the mind at peace. When the mind is at peace, we will not easily be swept along by praise or criticism, not be shaken by the waves of daily life. Peace does not mean not meeting waves. That means amidst waves still keeping steadiness in the heart, like a lotus in the mud. Without being stained by the smell of mud, you also need to nourish positive energy every day by reading good books, hearing the teachings of wise people, being with people with good energy, and most importantly, always returning to care for yourself. Your body and mind are the boat carrying your goal to the destination. If you don't take care of it, How can you cross the sea? Finally, remember that you are not alone on this journey. Out there are still many people also struggling to find the way to keep their faith firm, persistently pursuing goals. And who knows, your life story, even if a small piece, can inspire someone who is wanting to give up. So don't take lightly the value of yourself. Live, be persistent. Love the path you chose, because that is the way you shine amidst the chaotic flow of life. When the goal is blurred, what must I do not to lose direction? Life is not always as clear as we desire. There are days we wake up and feel the heart full of spirit, knowing what we must do, for what reason. But there are also days, sometimes lasting a whole month, a whole year, we fall into a misty region. Everything becomes messy. The life goal we once trusted very much suddenly becomes distant, faded, even making us doubt ourselves. Those are the moments many people call losing direction. You might feel yourself having tried very hard, but seeing no result. Maybe you are doing everything right as others advise, as books say, but still feel empty inside. Maybe you used to be very clear about the life goal, but after a few stumbles, you are no longer sure. In times like that, the first thing you need to do is not to try harder, but to stop. Stopping does not mean giving up, but to listen to yourself again. In the Dharma, there is a concept called mindfulness, meaning living with deep observation, no judgment, no forcing. When you feel the life goal is blurred, that is not necessarily because you went the wrong way, but maybe because your mind is tired. And when the mind is tired, even the most correct things become heavy. During this time, don't rush to blame yourself. Don't force yourself to be strong. Continue, be grateful, try. Those musts sometimes don't help you be better, but only make you more exhausted. Be gentle with yourself. Accept that there are road segments that need slowing down, not to think, but to see clearer. When the life goal becomes faded, try returning to the most basic things. Breath just need you to sit down, close your eyes, and breathe slowly and deeply. Breath is the bridge between body and mind. When the mind is tangled, breathing is exactly the way to bring you back to the present. You don't need to understand everything clearly, just need to breathe right. Everything will gradually be brighter. Gratitude. List 5 things you are having and appreciating in life. It could be family, health, a friend, a beautiful memory, a time receiving help from someone. When the grateful mind is awakened, you will see again what is truly important. Ask yourself again, if today were the last day I get to live, what would I choose to do? This question seems simple, but has the ability to touch deep into the inner self. Because when facing the limit of time, we newly know what is core. Some will choose to call mom, some will want to walk under the rain, some will write a letter never dared to send. And in those small things, sometimes you will see again your reason for living. Look back at the old journey. Try opening the old notebook, digging up old messages, looking back at photos of days you were full of inspiration. Remember times you used to believe very much in something. Remember why you once started. That seed hasn't disappeared. It's just lying still waiting to be awakened. Don't be afraid to adjust the goal. Maybe the goal you once set is no longer suitable. Not because you are wrong, but because you have grown, have changed, have understood yourself more. So don't be afraid to change direction. A life goal is not a lifetime vow, but a guiding lamp. If the road is bumpy, don't extinguish the lamp, just turn slightly to another direction. Find someone to confide in, When the heart is tangled, speaking out is a way of healing. Don't hug it all inside. Find a friend you trust. No need for them to advise much, just need them to listen. Sometimes just being able to speak out, we have already brightened up half the mind. Contact with Dharma, with nature, with quietness. When you used to seek noise, return to silence. A meditation session, a Dharma lecture, an afternoon sitting under a tree might not help you find the answer immediately, but will help you return to the state where you have the ability to hear the voice inside. And you know what? Precisely the times we see the goal blurred are the times we have the opportunity to go deeper into the inside. Some people have to get lost to learn how to read a map. Some people have to lose direction to understand clearly what they truly need. So if you are in a misty stage, don't fear, don't rush to find a shortcut. Just walk slowly, just step each step, breathe each breath, live each moment. Gradually, you will see the light return. Another important thing is to be kind to yourself. Don't evaluate yourself based on performance. Don't think you must always know what you want. Don't think losing direction is failure. Actually, that is an inevitable part of the awakening journey. Even the Buddha before enlightenment once lost his way. He practiced asceticism for many years until his body was emaciated, thinking that was the right path. But then, after nearly dying by the riverbank, being given a bowl of porridge by a girl, he newly understood extreme asceticism was not the path. And exactly at that moment, when returning to balance, he saw the light of truth. We are the same. There are times we must get lost to know where the right path is. There are times we must let go to see what needs holding. There are times we must be tired to learn how to rest properly. And more important than all, a life goal is not the final destination. It is how you live every day, is how you face yourself when weak, is how you are kind to yourself in wobbling moments. Don't give up, don't despair. Remember that when the sun is covered by clouds, it doesn't disappear. It only temporarily hides behind the cloud layer. Your life goal is the same. It is still there waiting for you to return. When the life goal goes against the wishes of loved ones who should be followed, things that make us deviate from the life goal and how to return, human life is like a long train journey. Each person has a station to arrive at, a separate journey to walk, but not everyone always goes in the right direction. There are times we have determined our goal clearly. We know who we want to become, how we want to live. Yet just a small incident, a thoughtless word, an unworthy mistake is enough to make us veer off that path. And then we start falling into a state of confusion, asking ourselves where we are going. Can we still keep the original fire like this? The answer sometimes makes us afraid. But remember one thing, deviating is not the end. Losing direction is also not failure. The important thing is whether we recognize it and are brave enough to return or not. So what makes us easily deviate from the life goal the most? First is the pressure of expectation. When we have a goal, relatives around usually will also place expectations on us. Parents want us to succeed. Friends want us to keep up. Society wants us to prove something. But expectation, if not understood correctly, will become a burden. It turns us from pursuing passion gently into a runner in a race with no end. The more we try to please others, the more we forget what we truly want. That is exactly when we are pulled off the original direction. Second is temptation. Life is inherently full of flashy invitations. A job with a higher salary, but not a passion, a relationship that makes us lose ourselves, a lifestyle easier, more comfortable, but exchange for time and ideals. Maybe at first we just think simply that trying a bit is okay, but then we fall into it without knowing when. Like a person rowing a boat in the middle of the river, just need a minute of letting go. The water current will drag it very far. Third is failure and stumbling. When things are not smooth, when meeting big obstacles, we are easily discouraged. We doubt ourselves. We ask ourselves, did I choose wrong? Then gradually from a fall, we lose faith in ourselves altogether. Not few people because of that give up or turn to another path. But do you know, on the journey towards the goal, failure is not an enemy. Failure is exactly the test to see if we are steadfast enough or not. The person who reaches the end is not the best person, but the person who knows how to stand up the most times. Fourth is the fatigue of the soul. There are times not because we don't have dreams, but because we are too tired to dream. We struggle in the cycle of food and clothing, of responsibilities, of unnamed worries. Then we silently accept a just enough life. We no longer think of the goal, only hope to live to get through the day. But living like that is no different from a shadow. Every day waking up, if no longer feeling one's heart vibrate with anything, then that is the scary thing. So what to do to return to the right direction? First, stop. Life is like a piece of music. It doesn't always have to be rapid. There need to be silent notes, need moments we stop to breathe, to listen to ourselves. Stopping is not giving up, but to look back to see how far we have gone, how much we have deviated, and most importantly, do we still love that path? After that, start again bit by bit. No need to rush to run to the finish line. Just need every day we take a small step in the right direction. If each day passes we reread our dream, do a small thing to move closer to it, then even if slowly, we are returning to the right direction, then learn how to forgive yourself. Many people carry a complex because they missed out, got lost too long. But friend who in life hasn't once got lost, forgiving does not mean justifying, but so the mind can be light, so the feet can step on without being bound by torment. Finally, don't forget to nourish belief again. Every morning waking up, instead of just popping up like a machine, ask yourself, what will I do today to get closer to the dream? Even just a small action is a sign showing you still haven't given up. Sometimes what makes us deviate is not because the road is too hard, but because we let the noises around drown out the voice in our heart. So in a world increasingly noisy, find yourself a silent space. Could be a few minutes of meditation every morning, a diary page every night, a time asking oneself what one is living for. Those small things are the true compass leading the way. Friend, if today you find yourself going the wrong way, don't panic. Life is not a one-way street. Every day is a new opportunity to turn around. Every breath still existing is a miracle to start again. The important thing is, are you ready? And remember, no matter how far you deviate, as long as you still keep the desire, you can still return. Is the journey of living with a purpose always happy? We often think that when we have found the life goal, we're knowing what we want, where we are going, then the road ahead will be smooth, full of joy and happiness. But the truth is not quite like that. Life has never been a straight line leading to success or satisfaction. It looks like a winding road, sometimes rising very high, sometimes descending to the very bottom. And amidst those bends are countless challenges that only people steadfast with a goal can overcome. Living with a purpose does not mean always smiling, having no sadness. On the contrary, people living with a purpose often have to face more thorns because they know clearly the road they walk. They see clearly every obstacle on the road. Those living vaguely and indefinitely easily live in a get there when I get there style. But people with a life ideal always desire to rise up, and desire always goes with suffering. Think about it. A person wanting to train a toned body must wake up very early, eat strictly, train with high intensity every day, while others are still sleeping soundly, still eating what they like. The person training for the life goal feels tired, sometimes bored, sometimes wants to give up, but it is exactly in the process of overcoming each laziness, each pain, each rainy day that they temper themselves. True happiness lies there, where we know what we are sacrificing for and why that thing is worthy. However, it cannot be denied that there are times even people living with a purpose fall into a state of fatigue and doubt. In times like that, people ask themselves, am I going the right way? Why so lonely like this? Why try so hard for what? That is very real psychology of a human making effort amidst a fluctuating life. Not just having a goal means everything will be clear. Many times we also have to adjust ourselves. Maybe initially we thought we wanted that, but when going halfway we suddenly realize that is no longer suitable. And that is also when we need to be brave to change. Changing does not mean failure, but is awakening. Living with a purpose is not synonymous with stubbornness, but is flexible according to one's life values. A person with a goal but refusing to listen to themselves, refusing to adjust according to reality, that goal easily turns into chains. As for the person who knows how to listen to the heart and soul, they will know when to advance, when to retreat, when to hold, when to let go. That is wisdom in the journey of life. In Buddhist sutras, there is a thing that anyone who ever learned Dharma understands. Happiness does not lie in achieving, but in the very journey we walk. We might not have reached the destination, but if every day lived feels meaningful, feels motivated, feels the heart serene because doing the right thing for oneself, then that is already happiness. But if every day is torment and pressure because of that goal, then maybe that goal itself needs to be looked at again. Many people ask, then should one live with a purpose anymore? If having it and still being tired, suffering, is it worth it? The answer is yes, because living with a purpose is like walking in the desert holding a map and a compass in hand. You still have to walk, still have to endure sun, thirst, sometimes get lost, but you have a direction. You know you are not wandering indefinitely, and that is the difference. A person living without a purpose is like a boat without a helmsman drifting with the current. Might be comfortable, but sooner or later will crash into rocks or drift to a place no one wants. But a person with a purpose, even if deviating a bit, can still return because they remember clearly the place they need to arrive. In the Dharma, the highest life goal is liberation from suffering, is finding back oneself, is living dwelling in the present without being pushed by delusions. Practitioners also have goals. Lay people should also have ideals. That ideal directs you towards peace and goodness, not dragging you into fighting to win or lose. And remember that living with a purpose does not mean racing. You don't need to compare yourself with anyone. Some go slow, some go fast, some turn left, some turn right. But as long as you still remember your destination, still keep kindness in the heart, then you are still on the way to happiness. Living with a purpose is living with direction. And when having a direction, the most important thing is not to give up halfway. Even if tired, rest. Even if in pain, soothe. Even if wanting to cry, cry. But after that, stand up and continue, because every footstep, even small, is taking you closer to the place you belong. Living with a purpose, how to spread positive energy to others. In a world with increasingly more disturbances, anxieties, and haste, keeping for oneself a clear life goal is already a very precious thing. But if we not only keep it for ourselves, but can also spread that spirit of living with direction to others, that is truly the great value, because when a person lives wakefully, not only do they change, but the space around them also becomes pleasant, positive, and brighter every day. How to spread that positive energy? Do I need to propagate or preach something? Or do I just need to live well, live true to my values? The answer is very simple, but also very profound. Spreading does not start with words, but starts from exactly how you live every day. A person living with a purpose will exude a very specific energy. No need to aspire to advise others to live like this or that. Just need them to silently work hard, live kindly, keep faith firm, and be steadfast with the things they choose. Others looking in will automatically arouse in their hearts the question, why can they be so peaceful? Why can they be steady amidst difficulties without complaining? That is exactly when positive energy starts to spread in the most natural way. The first thing you need to remember is you cannot transmit what you don't have. So wanting to transmit positive energy, first you must nourish it in yourself. Keep wakefulness in every action. Live with discipline. Be kind even when no one sees. Do the right thing even when there is no reward. Those things in the long run will become light in your mind. And that light is exactly what makes others want to come close. One of the most effective ways to spread positivity is by solid presence. Think about it. There are people who just sitting there doing nothing makes us feel reassured. Not because they are better than us, but because they radiate a very real calmness. They don't try to inspire, they don't try to advise. They simply live true to their values, and others are inspired by that. They could be a mother waking up early, cooking rice for the child to go to school every day without a word of complaint. A friend always silently helping others without expecting return. An old man sweeping trash in the neighborhood, but every morning smiling very brightly. An office worker never missing a small task, even if it's the most boring. They are not famous people, but their energy is positive, warm, persistent, touching others' hearts in a very real way. Living with a purpose is not synonymous with the fact that you must have resounding success, must have fame or assets, but that you live every day without being swept away, not forgetting who you are and what you are living for. That clarity makes you automatically become a spiritual support for those around. In addition, pay attention to the words you use every day. People living with a purpose are often very careful in speech. They don't use words to provoke, to show off, or sow confusion. They say things with the power to lift others up, transmit hope, soothe souls that are hurting. A word of encouragement at the right time, can save someone's bad day. A nod of trust can revive the spirit of someone wanting to give up. And the wonderful thing is you can completely do that every day. Besides, don't forget that you don't need to change the whole world. Just need you to be a small light in a small corner of your life. You have enough power to spread. Start from the people closest to you. Family, friends, colleagues. They are the people who easily feel the change in you. From a person often grumpy becoming gentler. From a person living superficially becoming deep and caring. Don't underestimate the influence of a child knowing how to be more polite to parents. A husband knowing how to listen to his wife and children more. A sister knowing how to share with her sibling more. Those simple actions have power 10 times greater than eloquent lectures. Living with a purpose also helps you be more patient with others. You understand that everyone has a separate journey. You no longer easily judge because you know change does not come in a day.